Moving ahead with the next session on fostering ethical guidance in finance, cultivating trustworthiness and upholding moral values by Mr. Devendra Mishra, Director of Finance at Bekaert. Can we have a big round of applause for Mr. Devendra? Mr. Devendra Mishra is responsible for company financial health and compliance, including activities in area of taxation, SEZ, greenfield, budgeting and forecasting, monthly and annual closing of books of accounts, including audit. Over to you, Mr. Mishra.
Hi, good morning. I am audible. Yeah, because sometimes it's a fiasco. I keep on telling something and people don't understand, so people don't listen it out. So ethics, I'll not take much time because we are running out of time. I know it'll be half the time. I'll be getting a kind of a timer, but I'm not going to invent anything. It's more of a discovery. Everyone knows that there are ethics that has to be followed by, unlike any other person in the organization. Finance guys has to follow it very, very religiously. So I'll run through the presentations because we are running out of time somewhere. It's okay, it's not. Some technical glitch. It's on already. We have a few sessions on digital after this, right? So just talking about this integrity, ethics, it's like मैं जो भी कहूँगा सच के अलावा कुछ नहीं करूँगा. Like, so we have to do, मैं जो भी करूँगा सच के अलावा कुछ नहीं करूँगा. And Pulkit, a good session on the strategic, being a strategic partner. Imagine a situation where, you are holding hands with your CEOs, MDs, supply chain head, logistics head, sales head, and after the year end, you are at the December end and you say, because of revenue recognition, you might not able to match your sales, or there's a big provision coming in. Now, those persons who are actually holding your hand, you're a partner in terms of strategy, I'm sure they'll make faces. What will you do? And I'm sure all of you might be facing these kind of difficulties when you go to your sales head, you go to your supply chain head, your managing directors, your CEOs. They won't like this kind of an attitude. They would say, manage kar le yaar. So exactly there, we need to define ourselves about the ethics and the integration in this. I'm not sure whether we are done with this technology or not, but thanks. So, ethics, everyone knows what is ethics. It derived from the Greek word ethos. And what it means is that, in a very simple definition, what is right to do and what is not right to do. It looks very simple, but let me tell you, पहाड़ टूटता है जब ये चीज करना होता है तब. So moving very forward, are we talking about whistleblowers, code of conduct, ethics, or speak up? You'll all have in your companies, right? Are we talking about this? No. We're talking about something else. Internal integrity. None of them will fit in there. If there's something misbehavior, code of conduct, you can always go there. But we're not talking about these things. We're talking about something which goes inside called ethics in finance. It's very important. We deal with numbers, we deal with so much data. भाई उसकी सैलरी क्या है पता चली तू तो पेरोल करता है. These all things come up very, very often to a finance guys. Do you know how the sales price of that product versus that product? Someone's leaving the company, they approach you, they become your friend. So there are very soft part of these kind of profiles in a CFO's role. So ethics in finance is to bifurcate what is right and wrong in context of financial matters. And ethics finance extends beyond compliance. We are bound to do our compliance. We are bound to do our reportings, financial statements as per the governing laws and everything. But it goes beyond that. Don't forget, The underlying thing beyond that is a human being who's doing all this job, and you have to manage your MDs, huh? Let me tell you that. So a commitment to honesty, transparency, integrity, and fair dealing. Now, why is ethics in finance very important? I think it's important, everyone knows, right? Has anyone doubt on that? I'm sure no. But why it is important, I'm not going to, this is something which is not new. Everyone knows it, that we are the number bearers, we prepare the financial statements. So it has to be proven, it has to be clean, it has to be trustworthy. So, first of all, essential for building and maintaining the financial health. Yes, it has to be. No one would then rely on your financial statements. Other is ethical behavior is crucial for maintaining the integrity of financial statements. There are companies whom we rely upon. I'm not going to name any brand, any company, or any kind of examples here, not even my personal or my earlier companies or these companies, because then you will judge me based on that. I'm not going to give you that kind of an option here. But on a general parlance, we have an impression of any company about their financial statements. You imagine in your mind and you can actually find it out, those companies as well. Then it enhances investor confidence and encourages participation in financial markets. Obviously, when these are companies, are listed companies, and you have pure financial statements, you trust on their financial statements, you always want to invest with them, you always want to be partner with them, maybe in terms of a supplier, in terms of a customer, or in terms of any kind of a partner to them. And then shows commitment towards the best interest of the stakeholders and avoid deceptives and conflict of interest. Sorry, something is not visible here. That's why I have to just look back and see those things as well. Now, how to foster ethics in finance department by finance leaders? I'm just kind of having a brainstorm here that, okay, we all know it. It's not that it is something which is new here, but you all have come to a situation where your subordinates, your team partner would have come to you and said that, okay, the sales guys are asking me to increase the price because of this project. Let's say we are finalizing a kind of a project, capital expansion project, and we are not fitting the IRR, or not, we are not fitting the payback period. It's relatable. Then what do? You increase your selling price. Volume may not increase. Somehow you bring to that IRR level. That is what the expectation of most of the management, most of the businesses are. But how do you? So that's where you have to plan yourself with you and your team, that how ethics would come into picture here. So first is that setting the tone at the top. As a leader, as a finance leader, we have to set the tone at the top that, okay, there are a few things which are never to be compromised, and one comes to trust and ethics. So that we always have to make sure. And the way we portray ourselves, the way our impressions there in the staff, in the company, that would reflect accordingly. Leaders must model ethical behavior and influence the organization culture. Clear commitment of values through action and policies. It's not just about a talk, but walk the talk as well. Building trust, very small word, but with a deep meaning. It's not easy to build trust, either in a personal or professional relationship. So that has to be built. Ethical leaders foster trust with employees, clients, investors, and regulators. And this ensures long-term success as well. Ethical policies, yes, there are policies in the company itself. There are code of conduct. There are few policies which you cannot deviate in the company, multinationals, Indian, whatever it is. But there are few ethical policies embedded or should be embedded in a department, in individual and team as well, where this has to be run through. Leader must create and regularly update codes of conduct and compliance program. Most of the companies do have this code of conduct, compliance trainings. We go back, HR का मेल आया, बॉस compliance training करने का है, क्लिक करो 8 मिनट में, तूने किया क्या? हाँ किया, ठीक है, okay, done. You have to embed that these all trainings are very important. You need to have some external training also for these compliances. Make them aware of those cases. It can be Lehman Brothers, it can be Xerox, all kinds of cases where because of wrong decision, unethical behavior, the company has fallen. You all might have Googled it, you know it about a lot of companies because of their unethical behavior, especially on the part of finance leaders, they have fallen it. Make them aware of these things, that a simple action from their side can kill the company. Enforcement and accountability. Make them responsible. I'm not going to, anyways, the clock is ticking. Decision making framework encourage ethical decision making. It's not about us, it's not about me as a financial leader, but it's also about the team. How you make these things visible, uh, accountable to take ethical decisions. Creating a safe and reporting environment. If someone comes to you and says that okay, this is something which is not going good, I mean, we have to be very much kind of empathize to that thing, and we have to take it very boldly. We have to have a situation and an environment where they can report these instances. At the end, it should not happen. Those who reports are gone from the company. First and the most important thing is transparency. It's as transparent as a glass. No one should have every single number what you see in financial statement. Every single processes you do has to have a transparency, has to have a backup on these things as well. But this is the most important and the most favorite slide of mine. You see this penguin is jumping from, and so what he does, they have a group of team. They have, this guy has actually done all the things what we have seen in the slide. He has created a kind of atmosphere, but you just don't talk. Be a Rohit Sharma. If Rohit Sharma doesn't perform, obviously we don't need a captain like a Rohit Sharma who doesn't perform. So Rohit Sharma needs to perform. So once the discussion is done, once the talk is done, this is the guy who said, let me jump, even though there are seals, but let me jump and let me show you how it is done. So walk the talk. So that's what we call as leading by examples. So financial leaders must embody the ethical standards by themselves. Leaders must make ethical decisions, and even in challenging situation, I know challenges come with a lot of department heads, with provisions, with revenues, recognitions, with a lot of things. One of the important and favorite topic is OPEX versus CAPEX. There's always a dilemma where people, non-finance people, do understand what's CAPEX and OPEX, but sometimes they just don't want to understand because they hit their P&L. So you have to be very firm on those things as well, and even your staff. Prioritizing ethics over short-term and gains, showing long-term commitments and integrity. And leaders must align their statements with their actions that walk the talk, which I already mentioned there. So that is what I want to convey here, that just not talk, but also walk the talk, and that is what this picture is all about. Lead by example. And this is my last slide, and thankfully I am within the time. I like this statement made by Warren Buffett. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. Everyone in this hall knows that okay, there is integrity. We need to do it boldly. We need to do it ethically. But somewhere down the line, it happens that okay, there's a pressure. There's a pressure from management. There's a pressure from the company. But if we do it ethically, right all the time, people do watch us, and we know the cascading effect of that. And that is why I always like this statement of Warren Buffett. And whenever I'm in a dilemma, I always think of this thing. Even in personal or professional level, that is what ethics is all about. I know we don't have much time for questions, but I still, and this doesn't mean that you all have questions you can ask. Even I can ask you questions. So, but still, we can take some questions. We have time. Okay. Uh, any questions? Any kind of sharing? Any thoughts which you feel that okay, something you're in dilemma? I know that this is not a new thing. This is all daily part and parcel of our business dilemmas and confusions. I'm there till lunch. We'll meet up and we'll discuss a lot of things which we cannot do it on stage most of the times. I'll not quote, okay, you have questions here. Just I'll not quote anything on my company or my previous companies because this is a very delicate topic. Yes.
Hi, Devendra. Thanks. That was very insightful. Very basic question, I would say. Many a times we do talk about ethics, integrity. It is important to follow. But at times you also feel that, in the times that you're trying to follow a lot of policies, ethics, rules, etc., sometimes you get stuck. How do you handle that space?
The entire presentation was on that. So,
What's your
so let's say on the specific part, I'll tell you a lot of experiences on that because you have any specific example? Let's say on the provision, OPEX, CAPEX, revenue recognition.
I don't have any specific example. It's just that अगर मैं हिंदी में कहूँ वो जो जद्दोजहद दिमाग में चलती है आप उसे कैसे हैंडल करते हैं What's your mantra? How do
What
you
I do, I'll
literally
tell you.
Yeah,
Because
that's what
I
my
had,
question is.
in my all experience of 20 years, I was not about to share my personal experience, but yes, on ethics part, because then you will judge me. So there has been cases where where we had a heated argument with the management also. So I take a pause there. I do a very simple thing in my life. Whenever we have an argument, I just flight. I take a flight. I just disappear from that place. I give time to the other person and myself, and then go back and try to find out what are the means and ways of doing it. But as I said, this is very important for me. This is more like Mool Mantra for me. You think, at times you can get carried away because you have a fear of losing your job. At the same time, I can be very much theoretical, but practically, we might have a fear of a job as well. We have to pay us a lot of expenses, EMIs at the end. But there are no scientific ways of doing it. What I do is take a pause, think twice before I do, and I try to do what is right and try to convince the other person as well. Because this, for a long term, will have a cascading effect, and that is why big companies have fallen, Lehman Brothers, Enron, or even Xerox as well. So, these companies. So, there's a way to convince, there's a way to communicate to your leaders, to your other department heads and managing directors as well. So, you to evolve your way to be very precise with you. What I do is take a pause, try to think very productively, and try to have a very productive conversation with the guy, not at that point of time. Probably take a pause and then try to discuss with the other guy.
Thank you. So I think taking a pause and convincing in the right way is your mantra. Basically, फैसला दबाव से नहीं चुनाव से होना चाहिए.
Exactly. Okay, so my time is up and
Thank you.
we'll meet you in between. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your insights. And I would like to call upon stage Mr. Jagdish Baheti, CFO, India, and Head of Finance at Delphingin to do the honors. Please put your hands together for Mr. Baheti.